Hello, everyone. It's February already. For like one day, it's like the first day of February, and here we are with the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit stand up. I think I missed the first one last month, January, busy times. But here we are. Here we are. I was supposed to be. It's not. I was in London on NDC. There's the NDC conference going on right now. There is a lot of those, but also one in London. Brandon is there. Sean is there. Cliff is there. I was there, but I had to fly back. Like, really? See? See? Maintain
It's like
reception.
Inception.
Yeah, actually in the same room. I was there, but I'm sadly couldn't stay for this live stream. That would have been cool, but unfortunately, I did see Sean and Cliff. I'm gonna see Brandon next week. Um, we get together from time to time, but we've never been in the same place with everyone. Anyway, how is everyone? Brandon, did you have your talk yet? I saw a little bit about that on social media. How did it go?
I did. Yeah, thanks. Actually went really well. It went so well that I got NDC in trouble.
Ooh.
So I had too many people in the room. It was standing room only. And they literally came in, no joke, and told the venue told NDC that they had to go in and tell people to leave because it was
Uh-huh.
against the fire code.
Right.
And NDC is like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Like, you can call the fire marshal and tell them to do it, but not me. So hopefully,
Well,
hopefully I'll be invited back next year. But yeah, it went really
yeah,
well.
yeah. You're a fire hazard now, so I don't know. I don't know. You're going on the list. Can't come back. Sean, I know you had an amazing session. I'm sadly missed it. I think they will become available online, so I'm definitely going to rewatch it because you did things with a game, and you were actually, I think, with a PlayStation controller, playing a thing in a Maui app.
I did get a bit carried away with the features, yes. So I used a PS4 controller as my clicker, and I presented my content in the .NET MAUI application,
See,
which was great
and then,
and challenging at the same time.
but it went well.
The demo gods were good, so we got through.
Good.
So,
Good.
so you didn't use PowerPoint, you used Maui.
I did use MAUI, yes.
Wow.
See,
Yes, that's the
I
reaction
mean,
that I need.
yeah, and then people say like, "Oh, you can't do nothing with Maui." Yeah, well, here we are, the living
Yeah,
proof
I
that you
got
can do
carried away,
amazing
so I
things.
even built. I tried to replicate the kind of the presenter second window, so you could have notes and view the content. Didn't quite get
Okay.
there fully, but it worked fairly smoothly.
See, we have a Maui app to replace PowerPoint now. That's how we are. I'm gonna have to watch it back. It sounds really cool. Cliff, did you have your session? I don't know.
I did,
Can you-
yes.
Right.
This morning I had one using Wilderness Labs Meadow and .NET. So mine was kind of the Xamarin team that were part of Xamarin back in the day, and how they have now ported Mono and .NET to a small IoT board. And yeah, gave some demos about it. Demo Gods got me on one of my demos, and it didn't quite work out. It turned out that the power lead had come out my USB hub, and that was why it wasn't working. But otherwise, it went really well. But yeah,
Perfect.
but I think Sean's is probably the best use of tech I've seen at the conference so far. It was pretty impressive to watch.
Nice.
So do watch it on YouTube when you see it come up on the NDC channel.
Absolutely. I'll be sharing it out on Twitter, and probably the other people will as well. So, fun fact, behind Cliff, you can see Westminster Abbey. So he's really in London. You can see it. That side, yeah. All right, cool. Tanya, how are you doing?
It's actually fine, yes.
Great, perfect. Vladislav, have you been busy with some cool things? Did you do
Yeah,
any
as
sessions?
usual, always busy with some cool things.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of articles. One that we're going to talk about. So you've been definitely busy.
Yeah,
Great.
yeah. I also added one article. I usually try to publish one article per month. So one I included in our stand-up today in the list of articles. Yeah,
Perfect.
so we'll present it soon.
Perfect. We're gonna see. Vlad is always busy. Yeah, absolutely. He's like the busiest man of all of us. Kim, what have you been up to?
I'm not nearly as busy. I'm just in my kitchen.
Yeah,
so-
cooking and I don't know.
exactly.
Great, great, great. We see some familiar people in the chat. We have Rainier. I'm going to see him on Tuesday because we have a in-person event about .NET MAUI in Cologne, which is really great. Sean is going to be there as well. See, so I'm going to see all my friends again. It was really cool. Demos, what Brandon says. Steve's here, friend of the show. Steve, always good to see you. So all kinds of people in the chat, which is good because we have some things to discuss with the people that are actually in this chat. Here is Neor Matrix. He has some questions about 3 PRs that fix kind of like the same issues. So we definitely need to talk about that. We put in the chat, I think Brandon did that. I logged into the backend this time, so I have some controls as well. Usually Brandon does that, but I was just in here before and there was no one here, so I rushed over to the control side of things. We have the agenda always open source because that's what we do, everything open source. So you can follow along with all the links and stuff there. Okay, so announcements. I don't see anything under announcements. Does anyone have kind of like a last minute announcement right here, right now that you want to share with us? Perfect. No one. Then let's just move on to the interesting articles. Andrew Locke, generate a source generator. I don't know who put these on here, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Brandon, are you going to talk about? Vlad, you're going to talk about this.
Yeah, I put this article. So actually, I would say it's probably official documentation for those who want to use and create incremental source generators, and it contains 10 parts that describes all steps, all issues that you probably may have during developing your own incremental generators. Also, because in our product, in our .NET MAUI community toolkit, we also create our own incremental generators, and it describes some issues related to performance that we previously had, and now we try to follow all the best recommendations. Also, it describes testing your incremental generator is the last part, and I saw we had an issue, open issue related to that some part of our source generator is not covered by unit tests. So probably this is a good start point for those who want to probably help us to cover this, to cover our incremental generators with tests. So I think it will be useful.
Great. Yeah, I know some of us have looked into like the source generator stuff. I haven't yet myself. But yeah, it's really cool
It's
stuff. How
interesting.
can do?
Yeah,
And
it's interesting journey.
also, I read these articles. It's very good that you are showing right now, and it helps me to understand like how to write a source generator, and I might use in future to write my own generators. So
Perfect. Yeah, I think we have some more use cases, and some other people, like I said, have looked into it. I think we also did some dumb things. So this is definitely good for like reviewing all the stuff and learning about it. So thank you so much for sharing. Vlad, you wrote something about the Android library binding. Actually, that was something that came up in the .NET MAUI community stand-up as well, where we were going. Was it in the stand-up? I think so. Oh no, it was in an earlier meeting. But we have a concept now with like slim bindings is what we call it. But a lot of people are asking like, hey, how can I bind my own libraries? Because there's a lot of cool stuff out there, and we as Microsoft, as the .NET MAUI team, the Xamarin team, cannot do it all, right? There's so many APIs and things out there for Android and iOS, but we're definitely looking into improving the tooling to make that better. And Vlad, you beat us to it, and you are describing here how you can do it.
Yeah, this is this package that I found. It's exam prototype Android MAUI binding tasks. It's like it's tool. It's Nugget package that automate all the process of downloading MAUI package, converting it to the C# binding library for like .NET Android binding library, and that's it. You can create your package and publish it to Nugget. So, and here I describe how it's easy to and how I ported calendar view, material calendar view for Android. And also I thought that we have an open issue related to moving from Exo player to player 3. Yes, so probably this this package can help us migrate and like easily migrate and use a new player recommended by Android, because for like well, actually there were some issues when I used this article, especially related to the for some reason material calendar view. The most difficult part of this article was to find a good Maven package that can be used, because mostly all of them of calendar view controls, even on Android, were published 4 years ago and not maintained anymore. And this only one that I found that use Android X library, and yeah, so it was required just to update and use it in with .NET MAUI. Yes, so but overall, this article, this package should like simplify the way how to bind Maven packages for and convert it to .NET MAUI bindable library. It would be nice if we found the same package for iOS and convert the Swift or Open Objective-C packages and convert them to C# bindable libraries as well.
Cool. So this is specific to Maven, or this is what you can do like any. There's a couple of questions in the chat. Like George was asking, like, "Hey, is this like embedding but in reverse?" Kim is actually asking, like, "Hey, is this a really lightweight wrapper? Like, what does this do exactly?"
Actually, it just simplifies the way how you can usually create your bindable library like manually, where you need to find the package, you need to download it, you need to embed it and add this jar file or whatever file into a library, convert and add that to XML files, modify them. If something goes wrong, this library automate all this process. And in fact, it just like it's actually a MS build task that just do that during your build process, and at the end you get a final C# library that you can like add to your project and start using it.
Okay, so that Sean is also kind of like asking for, okay, the idea of slim bindings is to potentially only wrap the bits that you really care about or need. So maybe back up a little bit for the people who are watching this for the first time. I don't really know how it all works under the hood. So what kind of like we do and historically the Xamarin teams do. So you have Xamarin iOS, Xamarin Android, and they kind of like bind all the APIs that are on iOS and Android and make them available to you to use with C#. And then we kind of like communicate with the Objective-C and the Java APIs, right? But that's a lot of work, right? Like I said, on iOS alone, there's like tens of thousands of APIs, on Android as well, on Windows as well. So it's a lot of work to maintain all of that. And then you have all like Android and iOS have their own kind of like NuGet ecosystem with all kinds of libraries from the community. So, you know, if you see something interesting there and you're like, oh, I really wish I could use that, you totally can, because, you know, that's our work. Basically, we create those bindings and you can do that as well. But the tooling, you know, we never really kind of like advertised it or made it available 100%. I'm not really sure of how it'll happen. But now we have kind of like this new concept that we're working on, or which is available already, which is called slim bindings. And indeed, like Sean said, like, hey, you only kind of like bind the bits that you actually need, because this library can have like this huge API surface with all kinds of stuff, but you only need that little one thing. So you're only going to bind that thing, and then you don't have to do all the work. So that really trims down the work that you need to do. And yeah, hopefully we can get to creating a little bit more content around that and make it available to you. I know while talking about this earlier, this person, I'm terrible at names, but I put in the link in the chat right now. His nickname is This Is the Cap. Maybe his actual name is on the repo. Let me check it quickly. He has done, no, his name's not there, a ton of those slim bindings. So, you know, if you look in the repositories for both iOS and Android, you can see how it's done. You have to kind of like really dig into it and see how he does it and kind of like reverse engineer it, because it's not really described. But he does it a lot, and he's really a fan of how to do that. So yeah, hopefully hopefully I get around to making a video about it, and make that better for everyone. Everyone will be happy. Cool. Okay, Vlad, you're not done yet.
Yeah, the most cool stuff. Yeah, just the last word. The most cool stuff about this library is that it adds, like, it automates the process of like references to the library, so it can like tell you in issues, in like warnings, that you need to bind another library if the package depends on it. So it's probably the best library, which the best like error message is the most describable. So yeah, that's really good. Yeah,
Perfect.
if we talk about, like, yeah, the next link that Brandon opened, it's my release of the icon badge feature. It's an Azure DevOps extension that you can use to add additional, like, if you open back our issues. Yeah, this one. Yeah, these images, you can see that it adds this beautiful, like, lines with text and versions, usually used for beta versions, if you need to change your icon. And this package is based on existing PNG and JPEG library, but for .NET MAUI, it all because we now use SVG for images and files. So my library adds SVG support. So all your SVG images can be added and add this additional text, and automatically will be converted for all images. So feel free
That's
to
great.
install and use it.
Cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Very nice.
and the last article in the last link is related to latest Gerald's
No.
yeah
Geraldception.
plugin. Yeah, it's screen recording. So yeah, two Geralds on one screen. Yeah, yeah. So you can spy over your users.
Yeah. Little clickbaity. Yeah. So actually really cool. This is also a community power plugin. So I have a bunch of plugins that I put out there. I also have a video and a repo that you can use as kind of like a template to build your own .NET MAUI libraries. And I created a bunch myself, like plugin.maui.screen brightness, audio. I'm doing that together with Sean. A couple of other ones, and also one with screen recording. So you can record the screen of your mobile device. You can add that feature to your mobile application. One of those examples, like on iOS, super simple to implement, 2 lines of code, boom, you're done. On Android, super crazy hard to do it. So I was kind of like stuck, and I didn't really have the time to figure it out for Android. And then someone comes in and says like, hey, here is the Android implementation, which was really great. So they needed it. They did the whole PR. I definitely refactored some bits because there was some weird quirks in there. But otherwise, it worked. So we figured things out. I added the Android support, and now we have a plugin screen recording for iOS and Android, which is really cool. Just looking for someone to do the Windows one. So if you are the person, please open APR. George, can't have too many Geralds. I assume, I assure you, you definitely can have too many Geralds. Ask my wife. All right, moving on. Proposals, we don't have any. So, kind of slow on the new proposals, but that's good-ish because we have a couple of other things to wrap up. I'm triggered here by Rainier in the chat. The opposite of preventing screen recording is simple for Android, not for iOS. Yes, definitely true. So you also have kind of like, sorry, going back to the screen recording stuff. I was considering doing a video or a blog about that and that was actually triggered by a presentation by you, Rainier, where you can, I think in your Android manifest or something like that, or some flag for your Android activity, you can just say, hey, this screen has sensitive information that will be completely blank whenever you do a screen recording, which was really cool, or whenever you go to the multitask view. And I don't, for iOS, I don't think something like that exists. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rainier. But yeah, so that's one of the other things, like super easy for Android, super crazy hard on iOS. So indeed, yes, I'm saying true things. Okay, great. So moving on, issues. Vlad, I want to hear you talk a little bit more about the expander.
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Yeah, here I shared the link related to not exactly one issue, but related to the bunch of issues related to the expander. And you see that actually most of them related to the issues related when we use it in carousel view, when we use it in collection view. Expander does not resize, so the bunch of issues increased, and from now I see that only Android has the most stable one. On iOS, on Windows, probably if you open I don't remember which one, probably the first one. And here should be some video, probably. I don't remember.
Yes,
exactly
I
which.
added it in the end of the conversation.
Yeah.
Here is link
It's
for
even,
Android
yeah.
and here like video for iOS.
Yeah, as for iOS, you can see that our collection view implementation broken again after updating from .NET 7 to .NET 8 in collection views. So on Android it works fine. On iOS and on Windows, the issue continues going. And my proposal here for the whole collection, for the full expander, I say, so now we use like shared code. It's a grid where we just add or remove some items. Depends on if expander is opened or closed. So my proposal here, for at least for Windows and for Android, there should be a native controls like platform implementation for WinUI and for Android. And probably we can resolve mostly all these issues if we switch to the handler architecture for it for this one. So this will be a breaking change for that, but most likely it will solve almost all issues which we currently have for expander, where some content does not look good, and for some stretches issues, especially in collection view and carousel view, where the item of these controls is not resized automatically based on the expense of expanders. So what do you think about updating the whole expander and updating it to the new architecture to the new handler architecture?
Yeah, I love it. I didn't know that there was native expander controls because, for those who don't know, we had to do a bunch of workarounds to get things like collection view to work, and list view we just never got to work. And yeah, if every time a new version of MAUI comes out, it'll probably break our workarounds, then yeah, I agree. If there's native implementations of it, that would make our lives easier in the future, certainly.
And also about this bug that you have showed right now, like with expander in collection view. I think maybe I look at it today, and maybe there are problem with like adding height to the another cells in this collection view when some item is expanded. I think maybe there must be problem. Like we adding height to the from the previous item to the current item, I think.
Yeah, the problem with collection view for now that we need for iOS and Windows, we need to update. We manually need to update the cell size for each when we expand collection view. And so when we expand our cell, when we expand expander, we need to update all cells in collection view to resize it. So it can, and unfortunately, it does not automatically update. Like collection view not automatically updated, and even if we like try to remeasure the whole collection view, and that is the issue that happens both on Windows and on iOS. So that is why we created two extension methods for collection view that for each cell it tries to figure out which cell was clicked, so we understand correctly how to resize and in which case we need to resize which cell. And for now we also have an open pull request for collection view to update when we have grid. So for now it works only for items layout when we have vertical orientation of collection view. But if we have layout where we may have like rows and rows and columns, we get issue with collection view resize again. And to avoid this, so actually we probably should avoid this code at all. Well, first of all, I need to figure out if actually moving to the handler architecture will solve the whole issue with expander. Yeah, it's more investigation task. But yeah, if the issue is solved, yeah, if the issue is solved, it probably makes sense just to update it and yeah, close all these issues. Yeah.
Close all the issues. Sounds good. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Tony joined us in the chat. Thank you so much, Tony. This sounds like a great update to Expander. If that's what it takes, breaking changes to make this happen, then well, I wouldn't say Tony necessarily speaks for the people, but I certainly agree with that as well, right? Like you have that pain once, but then if we don't have any issues, well, less issues, then that's going to be a no-brainer, right? We definitely need to do that. You need to break eggs to make an omelet. Doesn't get any more. Yep, that's a word. Can't think of it. Okay. I'm jet lagged from just 1 hour in London. It's crazy. All right. So moving on. We had some other things. Vlad, I'm going to get back to you in a little bit because we've heard you long enough now. I'm going to talk for a while. So fixed usage of media element in carousel view and collection view. This was an interesting one because Neor Matrix, I think his name, if I remember correctly, is James. See, I know names. And now he's going to say, no, my name is Richard. He actually tweeted at us and said like, hey, I see 3 PRs now, one of which is mine, that all fix kind of like the same issue. What's going on? Yes, you're completely right. So from my side, the story is I don't know, I was going through the issues, I think, like see what was there, what was cleaning up. I had an extra hour. Started going through the issues and I found that one and I was like, oh yeah, media element, I implemented the initial version. There's probably some stuff that I need to look at. This has been going on forever. I'm going to do it right now. And I did it without looking at like what was already there. So now we kind of have 3 solutions for the same problem. This one I think works, but I also stopped looking at it whenever I did look at the other PRs and issues and found like, hey, there's already something here. So yeah, I don't think we can kind of like solve this here on the stream, but I definitely need to look at what's all in here and what is going to be the best fix. I can see mine is in draft because I think I fixed it, but there was some build errors. I don't know. There was something why I did that, or maybe because I found the other fixes that were there. So yeah,
I just fixed those build errors.
Perfect. Perfect. See, we can
We've
can
had
do
some
it live
pipeline
on
issues,
stream.
yeah.
Merge it.
Xcode was it? How high do we need to go now? Yeah, basically Xcode wasn't at a late enough version.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that's the thing with the hosted build agents, right? They'll just update things, and we have to kind of like move along. So yeah, fixes, add full screen support. Well, I don't think I fixed that because that's still a very hard thing. But this is interesting. So I think we first had the scenario, and I think that's working now. I didn't see that bug where you could use media element either inside of shell or outside of shell and not both. I think we fixed that one. But now there was an interesting thing whenever you would do it in like a carousel view, and specifically I think in like a data template, something like that. It could not figure out like where it should attach to its parents because of the logic we had in place for doing it inside of shell and outside of shell, and it's also specific from like iOS recent and up. So that's very interesting. So yeah, I think my fix is working, and I think Neural Matrix also said like, hey, my fix, like Gerald's fix, is the least code changes. But then I also think that Neural Matrix said like my other stuff fixes a bunch of more stuff. So I'm gonna have a look at it. I'll try to get some time tomorrow to look at it and get this all going so we can close a couple of PRs and that kind of stuff. Did your fix include pop-ups and the other ones? No, I did. Well, let's just say I didn't look at if it fixed the pop-up stuff, but I focused specifically on the carousel view, collection view, but I should check the pop-up stuff. But Neural Matrix, I think we have a Discord server set up specifically for like talking to contributors and whatnot. I think you're in there, so let's be in touch, and I'll reach out to you directly and see if we can figure it out. Okay, Cliff. No, that's discussions. Well, Cliff, let's do a discussion. Let's just go all in off script, do it all. How to save multiple files without subsequent prompts, just to have a little bit of mixing of who is talking here all the time. So, Cliff, what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's obviously triggered the thing we talked about and set up, where if a discussion meets the requirement, then we discuss it on the stream and decide if we want to promote it, push it forward or not. So yeah, I must admit I've been busy at NDC, so I've not really looked at this one. So I'm cold on this, and I'm going to admit it and hold my hands up and say, I know not a lot about this discussion. It's only 3 days old, and I've been here kind of fretting over my talk and getting my talk sorted. But does anyone know a bit more about this discussion?
Yeah, I actually added this needs discussion label. So the issue here is probably from user perspectives, it's probably makes sense. Yeah, I am back again. Yeah, and yeah. So
what would we
from
do
user
without Vlad?
Yeah, yeah, Standup of Vlad. Yeah, so from user perspective, it makes sense that I saved file once. When I call this method again, probably I expect that it continues saving to that place after. Like we can think about it like save button. I saved file once, so no reason to choose the new place for file once again. But the issue here is how we implemented it. So we combined both file picker, like where we choose a place where to save the file, and also we included here a stream saver inside of this. So from one side, it's the same as having a save file dialog from WinForms, and it behaves. Our implementation behaves like this. On the other side, we may split this feature on two, this implementation on two features, like one for choosing a place where to save, and another one split it from saving the file to that place. And in that case, it probably solves the issue, but I don't actually sure that. I'm not sure that we should change it overall. Yeah, because saving multiple files probably makes sense to just use folder picker first. Choose a directory where you want to save these files, and after that, using system EO API, just save it to that directory. What do you
It does
think?
seem to me that if you're changing the way it works, then that's going to be very confusing for the developers. I must admit, choosing where you want to save it in a file picker and then all your subsequent saves go to the same place feels more natural to
Yeah.
me. It feels a bit how I would think about making it work and getting it to work. But yeah, I'm not sure. I think this could be we change it and it kind of breaks, well, not breaks people, but confuses them as to what they're going to be expecting from the tool.
As a slight different approach, could you use the folder picker and say, I want to save a chunk of content to a folder rather than I want to save multiple files through the file picker saver. Maybe we have a folder
Yeah.
saver implementation that says, put all of this stuff in one place.
The main issue probably here that Android, you cannot just save to any directory you chose before, just because like it's probably restricted. You get exception that you don't have permissions to write to this directory or something like that. So like you can choose any folder, but it does not guarantee that you can write files to it. Yeah, that is the issue. So from like how I would implement this, like if I need to save multiple files to some directory, I would not use file saver. I would probably choose folder picker, decided the folder where I want to save all these files, and then you using just like system.io file or whatever writer just save files to that folder. Yeah, but yeah, why we use file saver with saving feature? Because we like Android native way to save files using file descriptor and Android file descriptor. Yeah, and and that is the way how we implemented it. So it's like internal some API that we added. So user cannot directly call this method. Probably if we make it public, they can just reuse this implementation.
Perfect. Good discussion.
So am I getting to the point here where we believe that this isn't actually something we need to change? It's maybe something that we need to put in the docs to explain a way of achieving what this person, Simone, is asking for, as opposed to us making a code change. We need to maybe explain, if you want to save multiple files, this is how you go about it. And that's something that should be in the docs, not in a code change.
Yeah, but first of all, we need to check if our current implementation allows us to save multiple files without subsequent prompts.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. So I already see some stuff in the chat about a camera view, yes or no. So let's go into that. Although it's a little bit about barcode scanning, QR code scanning. Any thoughts on providing that with a scanner abstraction API? Asking Morton. I don't think we have any immediate plans for that, nor do we have any proposal open. So, if that's something that interests you, definitely feel free to open some kind of proposal, and then we can kind of like gauge, where people are at with wanting that. I think there's a couple of libraries out there already, like ZXing has been out there forever. There's also camera.maui, I think, something like that. So, there is a couple of libraries out there already. But apparently, I didn't even know that is like, it also has like APIs for the platform, right, built in. So, that might definitely be something interesting to look into as well, to investigate. But camera view. So this is a very interesting thing, and a lot of developments today, actually, Morton, by colleagues from you at Esri. So we were very grateful for that. because apparently your colleagues down under have a need for a camera view, and they came in touch with us to talk about that. With like, hey, we can do all this work, but we saw that you're working on a camera view as well, and we are very open to collaborating and then doing the work kind of like for you, put it in the community toolkit so that other people can benefit from that as well. So I had a meeting with them today about that, which is really great. The person who's going to be in charge of that is going to take some time off for the next 3 weeks. So that's, for this work, unfortunate, but for this person, very fortunate, because he's going to do amazing things. He's going to make a nice trip. So that's really great. So it will be sometime in the future. But yeah, there has been some interesting things going on here, because we had obviously the camera view in the Xamarin Community Toolkit, which, let's be totally honest, hasn't been always super, super stable. And I think especially on the Android side, it's very hard to I shouldn't be reading the chat and try to talk about things. That doesn't work. I'm distracted. They have like this API service which changed, and I think it's still technically in beta status, and it was in alpha before. So it was kind of hard to make decisions based on that. But at some point we were like, okay, we're just going to do it, because it doesn't seem that it will ever go out of beta. So we kind of ran with it, but we didn't really get to porting it to the .NET MAUI Community Toolkit, because we never really could get it stable. And again, I think this is a tale of like, one platform is kind of easy, and then one platform is super hard. Pedro, also in the chat, who was part of the core maintainer team, said like, hey, I'm going to do it. Screw it. I'm going to make that camera view work. But then, he got busy. That's how life goes. We've talked about that in other stand-ups before. So he kind of like stopped that work. Then this person, Drezel, comes in, who is, real name is Christopher, if you're watching this. Yes, I remember, because I reached out to him this afternoon, because he did a bunch of work. And what I want to prevent is that he feels bad that we're kind of like, now have another party who says like, we're going to do all the work. And he is like, but I did all this. Why are you not talking to me? Why are you ignoring me? But it's kind of like unfortunate that it kind of like happened this way. But he was very open to all of this, and he just wants to get the thing done. So, he's just happy to see any progress there. Maybe we can collaborate a little bit on it. But that's kind of like the latest status here. So it's going to take a few more weeks, but hopefully then you will see like code coming in, working together directly with the team at Esri to, start with a basic version and kind of like build it out from there. They already said like, hey, the API looks good as you've proposed it on like your repository, but we're going to have to make some changes because there's some stuff that we just, makes sense in other ways. So we're going to talk about that. No, I love Pedro. He's enjoying life. We should all do that more. What Pedro is doing. Oh my gosh, I would never talk bad about Pedro. He's been doing amazing work. It happened. So yeah, that's the latest on camera view. It's coming. Hopefully it's coming soon. We can release it. What I did also talk about, like, I already saw some stuff like, hey, the dependencies, that's kind of like how Android works. They have like separate libraries for that kind of stuff. And what we kind of like have as a rule of this is like, whenever you're going to have those dependencies, we're going to have it in a separate package, right? So we do that for the media element because that's based on Exoplayer, and we don't want to force that dependency on all the people who are going to install the community toolkit. So we kind of like cut it up into a couple of different projects, and we're probably going to do the same with the camera view because it brings in dependencies for Android, and we're going to make it a separate NuGet package. So just for the people who need it as a kind of extra, which is not a goal in itself, and we can also see like, hey, how popular is it? How much downloads does it get? To kind of like gauge like, hey, where is our priority with bugs with that, and should we spend our time there? Yes or no? So yeah, that's the latest on camera view. Did we have something else? Yes, Brandon. We didn't hear Brandon enough. Let's talk a little bit about the markup stuff. Oh, that's a good one, Brandon. Before you go into that, Brandon is also doing a good thing in the chat right here. Should we deprecate our maps view? I can imagine that Dot Morton has something to say about that because he was super happy and then he was super sad about it. There is from the Windows SDK, WinApp SDK, the WinUI team. They announced like, hey, we're going to do a maps control, which is super cool because now that's kind of like what has been holding on back for the official .NET MAUI team. To actually do a maps control because we have it for like iOS and Android, but the way .NET MAUI works is we map everything from our abstract layer to whatever is available on the platform. There wasn't anything available on the platform for WinUI. Now there's going to be. Not everyone is liking how it's going to be implemented, Morten. But there's going to be one. So now we should be able to move it to .NET MAUI in itself, and we can deprecate our package. It's sometime in the future, but that will hopefully happen somewhere this year. And it's going to be kind of like the same thing that we have right now, because the kind of like why I jokingly talk about this is because it's going to be implemented as a web view instead of kind of like a actual platform native control. But we're not probably going to lose anything, because that's how we do it right now, without putting in a lot of work. So hopefully we can just replace it with that. But we'll see how things develop and make our decisions based on that. Okay, Brandon, markup stuff. Go.
I'm back. So this is a pretty simple proposal. Scrolling down, so proposed by our good friend VJ, who's committed or contributed to the toolkit, where we have in the MAUI markup toolkit, we have an override, or our implementation of style of T that basically just inherits from Microsoft.maui.controls.style. And it's easy to go one way from our style of T back to MAUI control style. But the way it's set up right now, you really can't go the other way and turn your style into a style of T. So VJ had a great idea. He's like, hey, why don't we just make it easy? And so we chatted about it a bit in this proposal, where we'll add a implicit operator. So you can basically just cast them back and forth to make it super easy. And then also we can add another constructor. So if you want to instantiate style of T using your existing style, you can just pass yours into the constructor, and then we'll do a quick check to make sure that you're giving us a valid type, but then we'll just do it for you. So I've been super busy. Shameless plug. I've just finished a .NET MAUI course for dometrain.com that hopefully we'll be releasing this month. That's where I've been very quiet the last couple months on the toolkit, because putting together a course for everybody in the community that we can share and teach folks how to make awesome .NET MAUI apps. But now that I'm back, I wanted to implement this, and so volunteered to be the champion for this proposal. And just wanted to bring it to a vote. Although if we should certainly chat about the design, if anybody has other ideas on how to do it, or if there's any reasons why we shouldn't do it, we can absolutely chat about that before we vote on it. There actually is some XAML in the course, Cliff.
That's why I said it. I knew there would be, but I just thought I'd get the dig in there nice and early.
But we do a lot of C# UIs, but I show how to convert it to XAML. So we cover all the bases. But if there's no questions on the proposal, we could jump into a vote. It's pretty straightforward. It's one I can knock out pretty quickly. So happy to do it.
Yeah, just vote.
Sounds good to me.
Oh yeah, all right. Quick show of hands. Approve the proposal.
Yep.
All right, proposal approved. Thanks, Gag. That's it for me, Gerald. You're on mute.
Sorry. Yep. Well, I was distracted here again. Too much distractions going on. Vote yes for the proposal, George. Well, thank you so much. And I think we came to the end of the list, and we also answered some questions from the chat already. Some more comments on like, hey, there's going to be no XAML in the course because Brandon has been a big fan of C# UIs. That's why he's mostly running the whole markup stuff. That's what's going on. I'm going to totally ignore what Dort Morten is saying here. Otherwise, any other questions? We got a couple of minutes left. People in London, are you going to do anything fun? Is there, you're all super professional and speakers never do anything wild, but maybe you know,
There's a
there's
party to go
small
to.
drink.
Literally, party's going on right now. We skipped it just to be here because, as they say, this is a very professional, formal stand-up.
Yeah. So Rainier, see you next week. Definitely. Bye bye. Thank you for joining. Yeah, and there's the line breakers, right?
Yep.
So you know, that's super cool. That's a bunch of nerds basically who can also play instruments. And it kind of like started with damn, I'm so bad at names. Dylan Beatty. Who had kind of like a couple of parodies on existing numbers with a new text, which were all kind of like nerdy and software development based. And then they found some more people who can like play guitar, and they have a whole band now, the Line Breakers, which is super cool. And they go around to conferences, mostly some NDC ones, because you know they're also speaking there. So whenever they can be there and get together, they do all these cool songs live, which is really great. And I'm sad that I missed it.
Even got Eli on the French horn now, part of the Line Breakers.
Oh man,
it's a whole thing.
Oh, man. Stop talking. I'm gonna be sad. Neo Matrix figuring out controls and how to fix pop-up margins. So Neo Matrix is also one of our contributors, continuing work on full screen using pop-ups. I think he's talking about the media element. He's really bothered with the fact that you cannot do full screen media elements on Android. Man, he's gonna fix it. I feel it, but it's gonna take some time. Ignore me. I didn't say anything about example. No. I said, you said something about the .NET MAUI team cutting corners and we inspired the WinUI team. That was what I was talking about. But I tease. It's all good. We're all friends. So yeah, did I fill the time yet? No. Does anyone have something interesting more to share? It's not often that we actually have to fill up the time, right? It's usually
I was going to say, I'm impressed we've made it before 9 o'clock.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if there's not much else, then I guess that's it for this month.
Time for the NDC people to party.
Yeah, exactly. Gonna let you go early. Go to the party. All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining. I see more and more people in the chat, and we have this synergy going on, so that's really nice. I see a couple of you next week, so keep your eye on the socials for some pictures of selfies and that kind of awkward stuff. And the rest of you, I'll be seeing next month with the March stand-up, and hopefully we have some status updates on all the stuff that we talked about today, and then some more new stuff. So thanks so much. Until next month.